This is your daily market recap for January 9th, 2023. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Monday, January 9th, 2023. Hopefully you had a great day. Hopefully you've been following. Hopefully you've been paying attention. Hopefully you've been trading around your core position. Hopefully you're not shorting aggressively because it has not paid off. Some of you folks who have to trade, I get it. Just be careful. I'm a reformed, addictive gambler myself in trading where I felt like I had to catch every move. That was one of my biggest weaknesses because I could see the forest through the trees or whatever, and that analogy is, but then I acted too quickly all the time, and it ended up being difficult. So my point at this point going into the market today is we talked about very clearly, posted on Twitter, going into the early week, don't be surprised if the market pops and then pulls back because you'd want to see it down going in front of earnings. Talked about that very clearly. So let me get into some more of the rant, but if you have traded around your position, you are doing this correctly. If you've held all of your longs and did not take any profit today, well, don't be surprised if the market takes a little bit back from you because we posted this, we talked about this. I just retweeted this, did 17 hours ago. Do the math. If this was recorded at 2:39 Mountain Standard Time, that was last night. So congrats to those who took the gains of sand. Cash is ready to be deployed. I mean, it's really that simple. If you are struggling, please DM me on Twitter. Maybe I can help you out. I'm here to help people make money and honestly lower their tuition bill because making money will come when you follow the rules. You're disciplined, you trade with the probabilities, you don't overtrade, you try to leverage trends, old turkey style, whatever you want to call it, Livermore. Be thoughtful. And if you need help, this is the starting place. Free videos, 54 of them, back to basics videos. Good place to start. Again, trading is a knowledge-based game, and leveraged with experience brings the greatest results. And you can't have experience from just showing up and watching the market day to day. You've got to study the past, and I say it over time, study the past, study the past, study the past. And on that note, let's get into what we think is going on. Well, actually, let's get to the SPY. Just stick around. Bitcoin, Livermore says, don't short a sleepy market. Well, here you go. Sleepy market holding a base. Not surprised it's bouncing, but good luck. I mean, if you own it, good, cool. You're expecting some sort of rally if it holds the lows. Like, it's one of those things where the floor is the floor until it's not the floor. And if the ball bounces and it keeps hitting the floor, then it should bounce. Right? How big, how great? Again, we don't know. Set your stops, know your levels. Natural gas. We talked about the straight line move getting pretty crazy. Should probably be a bottom. Well, there you go. Now, again, I like my hair. I want to sleep at night. I mean, I see why it's holding down here. I would just rather play oil. And what did we talk about? Oh my gosh. Pulling back testing this trend line. Well, it popped today and everyone was like high-fiving. And I'm sitting in my mind, I'm like, don't be surprised it pulls back. It's no different than the first dip getting bought. Like on a pullback. Like reverse this chart and it'd be like, oh, this is, a pull. Like if it was trending upward, it pull back a little bit, it gets bought. Don't be surprised. Like that's just how this works. And so when it pulls back a little bit, is it ideal? I mean, again, ideal is relative to experience. Like, I don't care if you, same thing here, you pop a little bit and then you pull back, then you go, right? You bottom, you chop, you pull back, then you go, right? I mean, every time is a little different, but that's the nature of the game, the repeating tendencies, right? Like, if this is a back test of the trend line, I'd rather play XOP and oil than natural gas, but for each their own. Know your risk, be smart, be thoughtful. Please don't be suicidal, like literally. Like don't do stuff that will blow you up. The dollar. Okay, let's talk about what's going on and what I'm expecting. Earnings, seasonally bullish. I'm sorry. Everything that's come out, like Micron, all these companies, they guide crappy, they rally. Companies that were doing well or doing better than expected, FedEx, whatever, rallying. If you are bullish, the market going into earnings, you want to see the market pull back in front of earnings. I'm telling you, don't want to see it rise into the first bank earnings because then it's probably a sell the news and it'll be choppy. I'd rather get that out of the way, potentially as we're starting today, going into the middle of the week. Perfection. So now you look at the dollar and people are like, well, hey, the dollar's getting crushed. Well, if you study the past, you know there's a lot of little novice gaps in the dollar naturally. And my point being is I don't really give a crap what the dollar does as long as it doesn't go on this straight line trajectory higher. If it plays games and chops here, cool. People are trying to buy the dollar, short the dollar. It's like a waste. There's 1,000 other better trades in my opinion. Now, again, I could be wrong, but it just doesn't seem that lucrative to me. There's other names that are moving 3, 4, 5, 10% in a day. Hopefully, you can get a piece of that action, which we're trying to. The dollar at this point, just know that's a novice gap, decent volume. Could it be the bottom, but does it mean it has to rally? Big, right? Does it have to just turn around? No. It could play a game. Remember, we've got good data. Third quarter, fourth quarter, we don't know. Economy weakening. Everyone's talking about recession. Remember, when everyone talks about recession, is it priced in? Because here's the thing. Check out the bond market. And this rant to me just feels like it's a broken record. The bond market got smoked, y'all. It got absolutely smoked, right? Burnt, crisp, in the smoker for a year, essentially. Cooked. Absolutely cooked. Okay? If you know that for a fact, you're not surprised by this rally, but you're also not surprised that people are like, oh, well, this means the market's going to tank because the TLT's rising. Okay, I thought that initially at first too, and then I pivoted and said, well, not really. When I zoom out, I take my tunnel vision out. Could it be just building slightly bigger uptrend near term to just base out? Because everyone is screaming recession, so people will buy bonds. Keep that in mind. Now, again, bond volatility to me is more important than just the price action. Because at this point, if you go back in history, 5, 6%, 7% interest rates aren't that big a deal. The economy did fine. The United States grew for 200 years with interest rates between 5 and 10%. The VIX, I'm sorry. Again, I really wish this would take off for the bears, but I don't see it. I just see it playing out like choppiness. Again, everybody's bearish. Everyone's buying puts. Everyone's trying to go all in all the time, being bearish. And it's just one of those things where I tell people, what do you want to see, Dan? I don't want to see the put call ratios in the plus mid ones. I want to see everybody super excited that the bull market is starting. Because look, earnings. Look at the reactions during earnings. And this is the rant. Please pause, listen to this 18 times if you have to. You want to see the market rally with crappy earnings or whatever earnings you think they're going to be and get the bulls to get off the sidelines, go all in, bears give up, then we can tank. If you were shorting before that, buena suerte, I hope it works out. But the odds are being early are not going to be favorable. And that's why I was trying to put this rant out. I was talking on the Discord room. That's the reality here. I wish you luck. I wish you luck. But that doesn't make sense to me as the best way to screw the most amount of people over that they can. Do y'all see this? That is the goal here. To take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. And at this point, the action, it just doesn't seem like it. It just doesn't seem like it's the best opportunity to short, hence buy VIX, or the VIX can just chop out. SPY. Yeah, we talked about taking profits. Look, bounces popped up today. Everyone's pointing to repeating patterns near term. This is January. This is the January effect. This is January. This is what it does. It pops, it chops. Now again, GDP is not falling off a cliff. The economy at this point it's not good, but I don't think it's getting worse. That's the best you can say, but that doesn't necessarily mean the market has to go down. All right, SPY peaks 480. You're at 380s. Remember, the market tends to go higher over time. So when you're shorting, you got to be really careful. And I could do a 20-minute rant on how shorting is tactical, very, again, especially the market. Now, again, you can short crappy stocks for swing trades, but the market, tactically, you got to be careful always trying to short it. It just doesn't pay. QQQ. Oh, sorry, let me talk about the levels real quick. Not surprised, 392, 393. You can see it here. I don't know why it's not shown being stretched out. Here you go. Not surprised it took a little siesta when it hit that level. And people are like, oh, it closed at the low of the day. Bearish. It's like pulling back on lighter volume, just right back to the moving average. Get it over with. Because I'd rather it I'd rather it pull back today and chop into the CPI than rip bears' faces off than to rip up into the CPI and then it becomes very obvious that there's a bigger pullback needed. I mean, people just, I don't know how to explain this. It's just experience. It's just a feel thing. It's the art. QQQ, we talked about it holding down here. It bounced. Doji 20-day. That's fine. Again, I mean, if it's going to roll over, it's going to roll over. This is the lagger. Just keep that in mind. IWM up today. Talked about it leading up. I mean, does it look worse? A little bit of outside reversal looking, but still closed over yesterday's highs. Friday's highs. This is where it gets difficult. If you want to short it, I get it. If you think, I mean, again, I'd be looking for dips to buy. It just seems so logical that you have every reason to dump here, and then it bases out China, everything, blah, 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 and then China reopens, and things don't seem as bad, and oils come back. Everybody's screaming bearishness, and then look what happens. The market and the IWM start basing. It looks like it's going higher. Sounds cheesy. It doesn't sound right, but again, the narratives, if you're reading the news and you're getting your narratives from the average news outlet, you might as well just hand over your money and put it in a bag and deposit it at a bank and give it to them, literally, because you're going to lose and you're going to be giving it all up. Gold. And people very vehemently like, you missed the move. You've warned that wait for pullbacks. They're not pulling back. What do you do now? And it's like, hey, chief, we bought down here. Go watch the recaps. Sold some here, sold the rest here. Hey, waited for the pullback, didn't get deep enough one. Well, guess what? I don't chase, chief. Congratulations if you're long it. I'm not. I mean, again, I've got physical. I'd rather see $10,000 gold than anything else. But at this point, I just can't chase. So if you want to bust balls and give me crap, that's fine. I don't care. I didn't say short once. I said be careful, look for pullbacks. And if you were going to short it, because other people wanted to, I said just be careful. The seasonality, we've talked about it. Mid-December through February, March, typically rises. Doesn't mean it can't be volatile. All right, Chiefs, silver. Not making a new high today. Okay, watch the 20-day, watch this 21 area. I mean, again, all this stuff I think is too fast, too high, in my opinion. Looking for pullbacks. That's all. Now, do you want to short it? I wouldn't. But if that's your prerogative, you go right ahead. If it goes higher without me, that's great. There'll be a pullback. I mean, study the charts. Straight line moves get pullbacks. Straight line moves get pullbacks. Straight line moves get pullbacks. And again, if I miss the bigger move near term, I know for a fact Q2 seasonally for miners, always crappy. Always another trade. Always another trade. So don't dwell on things you miss. Be abundant, especially with GDXJ. GDXJ. I mean, I like them. I like the GDXJ better. But I also don't have this like mindset of, well, if it's going to go without me, then I have to jump in and do something. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, you got to be careful. Well, you miss moves. Well, no crap. You're going to miss moves. We all do, guys, gals, friends. That's just it's a probability game. If you think you can hit every move, and then you get bummed out about it, it means that you don't realize that there's moves out there coming. You don't know how to trade the market. You literally have put all your eggs in one mental basket thinking that this has to happen, and if that doesn't happen, then you can't trade. And that's dangerous. That means you're not very confident. Here's another red flag, right? First Majestic. Why won't it break this downtrend? Okay, we'll see what happens. AEM. Again, I'm not saying short. People are like, oh, you said short. I never said short it. I recommended people be careful shorting. That's all. Up here, it makes more sense if you wanted to short. Newmont talked about this being a piece of crap. Gets in, gets above the gap down. Now it's back into resistance. Okay, maybe it's the 200-day. Again, I have better things to do than short miners, but I'm also not going to chase. Pass, let it go. It's that simple. AM Diesel. Okay, talked about it. Long wick. Potentially could rally back, gets over the 20-day. I mean, these things have gotten obliterated. And again, new money, new year. Oh, I got to buy AMD. Yes, that's what they're thinking. They goes from 165 down to 50s. Idiots are buying it, thinking that there's some sort of long-run bull market in semis. It's not, but it doesn't mean it can't oversold rally. NVIDIA, same thing. Same thing. Gets absolutely throttled, going from whatever 350, 360 down to 110, 108. All right. Popping. Cherry popping daddies. There you go. Zoot right. SMH. Same thing. I mean, this is what's so like obvious to me, is that people who don't understand the mindset of that, if you are trying to be tricked, always try to think what they're going to do to you next to trick you. We talked about SMH. I mean, again, I don't know if Solomon's listening. I mean, I think of him as a friend, even though he loves to talk junk, because I've tried to help him. Like, all this evidence says we resolve higher before lower. But does that mean higher as in has to go to new highs? I don't know. You could argue that's the topping pattern. I would probably argue it more of just you need more evidence. If you shorted it and you've got a leash, cool. Adobe. Pops up, closes over the highs. Choppy action. Again, doesn't look like it's going to roll over. Apple, the fruit. Not surprised it's sticking to 130. I mean, and hits basically 20-day. I mean, this thing's now in the laggard, whatever. Like zone. Like the stock is going to be distributed for years, and it's going to go nowhere. And in bear market rallies, it'll pop less, and then in bear market drops, it'll drop lower. Does this make sense? It's like all of your other friendly tech names, right? Like they just make lower lows and lower highs. Well, if Apple holds flat, that's not bearish. Talked about Amazon laying off, whatever, 10% of their workforce, or 17,000 people. I can't remember what it was, whatever. Rallies. Pops today. Okay. Comes back 20 days, stay above it. CRM. I know they laid off 10% of their workforce. Zing. Okay. Guggenheim. Laying people off, probably. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter, right? At this point. Holding up. Meta. Man, people really excited to short this last week at the 124 to 125. Well, here we hit the trend line today. If that's what you want to do, great. That makes sense. You got there. Do I want to short it? Things that I might just not do. Probably not. Because if I think the market has upside potential, I have no clue what this can... Oh, I mean, actually, I have a clue. That's a capitulation bottom. It could probably rally back to some point higher. I mean, it can go... If it can go lower than you think, it can go higher than you think as well. Keep that in mind, okay? Just keep that in mind. And again, maybe it just sits up here. Maybe it gets distributed. Maybe the market rallies and this thing just goes nowhere. That would not surprise me because it's tech. Microsoft. Looks like a little bounce. I think, okay. NDAQ, come on, get your ass up there, boy. I want to see this back up in the mid-60s. Short. Just nothing to say really at this point. Try to rip through this flash turn. MicroStrategy, okay. Things that aren't bearish. We talked about this thing could get up into the 180s. Bitcoin holds. Well, there you go. Things that aren't bearish. Netflix. Talked about this leading up. Buying the dip down here in the 280s, 290s, whatever that was. Specifically, 270s, 280s. Rallies back up near the highs. Things that aren't bearish. Roadblocks. Congratulations. Finally. Pays off. Patience. I said on Friday, this candle isn't bearish unless it continues lower. And then what did it do? Gaps up. Closes at new highs. You're welcome. Especially if you're bought in this in the 26, 27 range. I mean, 30 is not a bad trade. Not a bad trade. How much higher? I mean, I think it just has room up to the mid to low 30s. That 34, 33 area. Congrats, Tesla. Did not add any on the dips on Friday. Clearly should have. Not surprised. Look where it hit today. Doink. Doinkerton. I have a small position in this and just kind of like playing with the house's money. You can see what happens. Because if I think the market rallies, this thing could get stupid momentum again. Because it has gone, not only has it gone from like the 400s, but then it hit, like it rallied to 315 and has gotten smoked. Well, here's the backside of the trend line. I would assume, at worst, some 140 action. If it holds up. Preface, if the market holds up, right? Like people are like, oh, the market doesn't hold up. It's like, Jesus, please take notes of all the words said. Jesus can't help you. X, here you go. We talked about it buying down here. And if you took some profits today, nice. You hit reference highs. Playing those $2 pops makes sense. Nucor said wait for the dip, and it pulled back, rallied up. Cool. Well, look where it got tired. Man, I'm sorry I don't have that continuation drawn over. Look where it got top. I mean, again, just pulls back, lighter volume. Does this look like Roblox to you guys, maybe? We'll see. VALE, not surprised. I mean, all this stuff. Things that aren't bearish. Oh, the market's about to roll over. Why the hell is these names ripping to new highs, potentially? Doesn't look that bad. Tight action. We'll see. Arrow. Take profits. Again, if you didn't take profits on this action, just tisk. Again, copper coming out to new highs. Doesn't look that bad, right? CCJ. What do you say? I mean, things that aren't bearish. I mean, again, if the folks in the world who love to post angrily that the bears lost or bears were winning, stuff doesn't look bearish. Now, again, I personally would love to buy the stock in the 18 to 20 range. Again, I don't like the Westinghouse deal, but we'll see what happens when it gets to Fens there. CF, you're welcome. And apologize at the same time. Being early, stopping out, okay. Well, we talked about the 80 level. If that hit, building. Now, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you get a couple-day pullback at some point after it goes from, say, 80 up to maybe the 20-day. I don't know. Just please be thoughtful. Trade around your core position. If you got some down here, say you got 1,000 shares, you should have sold at least 200 shares at this point. And your core maybe 500. I don't know. It's up to you. Mosaic, you're welcome. Bought this in the 42, 43 range. Cool. Tracking higher. Remember, NTR, Mosaic, CF, they all got huge downgrades today. That doesn't look that bad to me. Just pulls back to the 20-day. Last material name that if you were trading and you followed my recommendations, high five to you. Talked about buying it on this congestion crap. Oh, but when's it going to go, Dan? Doesn't matter. It will. And it did. Now, here we go. Said the 200-day. I mean, somebody bought the crap of this thing in the lows. I know it's sloppy and choppy, but this is the thing. If you trade it around your position, you're absolutely owning the stock. And again, I don't ask for donations, but you should be paying yourself. Like, you should be asking yourself, why the hell can't I trade around a position if you couldn't have made money in this stock? So that just is what it is. All right, done with materials. Let's get into financials. Pulls back 12 cents. Well, whoop-de-freaking do. Again, things that aren't bearish. Oh, the market's going to roll over. Okay, well, why are these climbing higher? Well, now they're going into earnings, right? Hits the upside projected zone, like target zone. I mean, I'd love to see it 36. If it pulls back, are you going to jump on the short? I don't know. JP Morgan's been on fire, literally on fire, back near the highs. Oh, the market's going to roll over. I mean, again, the people who don't watch the recaps are the ones always screaming that. And it's like, stuff that doesn't look bearish. Well, okay, now you're back up there. Not surprised it finds sellers. Duh. Right? It looks above over, and then it pulls back. I mean, again, if it pulls back 134, 135, I'm not buying it, but it just wouldn't be surprising. Morgan Stanley, piece of junk, laying off some of the workforce. Rallies to higher lows, higher highs. Just like a broken record. XBI. Okay, pulls back. That does not look great, but I said this a multitude of times. This stock is off limits in the sense of it's just in a huge trading range. When it breaks out, great. Breaks down, great. At this point, leave it alone. It's in a $10 range, and it's going nowhere quick. If you want to trade the range, go right ahead. I personally just, again, meh, not that interested. Okay. Is it that hard? I guess. Does it have to be? I mean, trading is psychological. We talk about this 1,000 times over. TAN, not surprised it bounced. We talked about this being like a little trap, and then Friday, gaps up, chops. I mean, again, choppy, sloppy action. VIX in the 20s. Repeating patterns, repeating tendencies. I'm like a broken record, but I swear, someday you're going to figure it out. You will figure it out if you listen and you hang out. Some people won't. Again, they just think this is very random, and they can only think from their own experiences, and that's the problem here. You know what they say? Smart man learns from his mistake. Wise man learns from someone else's mistake. TAN, again, chopping. We'll see what happens. ENPH, that's a pretty big move. I would watch if it gets continuation here. Talked about this being the upside. Didn't short it, regretfully. See what happens here. I mean, it's one of those things. Good luck. Buena suerte. Sedge, holding up better than others. Not surprised. Choppy, long wick, whatever. First Solar. This one we said, please be careful. And here it goes, rallying back up. I mean, I really hoping 160, but you got 162 today. I mean, if you want to short it, you short it. I mean, I just personally am I have no desire to short right now because the straight line move down, I don't think it's coming. And people don't want to hear that. They just don't want to hear that. They're like, oh, it's coming. I'm like, I don't think it's coming. I think you're going to play this game of it. You heard the saying, stock pickers market. I think this year is going to be a stock pickers market. To start the year, certain things are going to lead, some things are going to lag, and some things, I guess they're either lead or lag, or they go nowhere. I mean, that's essentially it. Let's end it with oil names. Oil, again, we talked about buying this in the 64, 65 range. It got down to 63.90. Oh, my God, you're an idiot, Dan. Okay. It pops up today. I mean, not surprised. Just chopping. Nat Gas, UNG, please be careful. This ETF is just painful. Just absolutely painful because it deteriorates. You're like, oh, why do you say it's a crappy ETF, Dan? Whoosh. 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 Good God. Yeah, that's why. Now, again, could it pop? Again, know your risk tolerance. I mean, I know some people talking about buy and boil. Same thing, crappy ETF. Let's see what happens here. I mean, is it going back to 52? Probably not. Remember, this is a daily ultra directional ETF, so it's decaying faster. It's ultra decay, but it also can rise pretty quickly. But I just wouldn't sit here and go, oh, I think it's getting back up to 80 or something crazy. No, probably not. Unless nat gas went super bonkers. But still, like, the decaying point of this is what kills it. All right, let's end it with XOP. This one in names. Not surprised. It popped. If you took some profits, heck yeah. Watch what happens when it gets back into the 130, 131 area. Okay? Set your alarm. XOP 130. Making it dirty. I mean, I have 129. I mean, even better. I mean, it's a low risk trade in my opinion. If oil and gas are bottoming, the SPR's got to be refilled. Everything in this world is not green. And you need oil and gas. So just keep it that simple. ExxonMobil down $2 today. A little concerning. In the scheme of things, made higher highs on Friday, chopping around. Remember XOP's like down here? Or it's like, here's PXD, for example. Way down here. ExxonMobil's way up here. Is it really that dangerous? I don't know. PXD, I mean, again, if you traded this, hell yeah. I mean, just hell yeah. That's all you can really say. Oxy, talked about this one holding this like the low 60s. All right, bops. Okay. Is that absolutely bearish game over? Well, do you know the stock? Because I'm pretty sure you can find a very similar formation along the way. You get these like long wicks, chop, pullbacks. A couple days, maybe? Or is it about to roll over? That's the question. Now, again, if you bought down here, you don't know. Set your stops. Hopefully you're trading around your position. If you have any questions, again, please reach out. This is going to be an amazing year. I'm telling you, if you are hanging out, you're going to see us do some more investment properties, help more people get under contract, get deals done, and ideally take paper gains, turn them into real gains, and buy real assets that pay yourself. I mean, the goal, if your goal this year is to collect $1,000 a month in passive income, and you can do it from real estate or something else, I'm telling you, that's the goal. Freedom. I have 1 to 2 clients a month max. I love it. I can pass them off to someone else. And ideally, if it's someone who's more into trading, looking to get started, I don't mind helping you out. I love it. Again, teach a man to fish versus just give a man a fish. All right. Do you have any questions? Please reach out. You know what to do. Be thoughtful. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised the market popped and pulled back today. Is that game over? I mean, I guess. I see the bearish signals. We've seen this before. Right? I personally, again, I'm on record, and either I'll look like a genius or have pie on my face. I think you need to trap more bears, squeeze them, and get bulls to go all in, believing. And we need to see a narrative of what? The bull market's back on. The worst case scenarios are behind us. I'm telling you, when you get that narrative, you'll feel a lot better about potentially shorting. Okay, ending it here. Talk to y'all later. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.